Hi everybody. In this video tutorial we're going to talk about the DNS Functions spreadsheet. The DNS Functions spreadsheet introduces 3 new functions that are really useful and will save you a lot of time when doing all kinds of calculations with regards to networking, and particularly with DNS types of reporting. So when you first open the DNS spreadsheet, you'll be prompted for a password. The password is uppercase M, uppercase S, TAR, uppercase S. And that will give you access to the rest of the spreadsheet. The instructions tab briefly explains how to use the spreadsheet and what the functions are and how to use them. So the 3 functions we're looking at today are the NSLOOKUP function, the NameFlip function, and the IP2DEC function. Now, the NSLOOKUP function basically does an NSLOOKUP call in the background through DOS and returns the results. So let's just have a quick look at how that works. Before we go to the examples sheet, I'll just take you to a blank sheet and give you my own example. So if we start with a host name and did an NSLOOKUP on it, now we can do an NSLOOKUP function either on a name or on an IP address. So in this case we're using a name, and when we do the NSLOOKUP we'll see we get a name back. And now why is this? Well, if you notice, the name's a little bit different. It's l.google.com. So what we got back was an alias. So this is the way the program or the function is written, is that if you are asking it about an alias, it will return the name that's bound to that alias instead of giving you the IP address. Just to give you a heads up that is not an A record, that is in fact an alias that you're looking up, or a C name that you're looking up. So in order to get the actual IP address, you have to do another NSLOOKUP on that name, which should be an A record that we got back. And in this case, we get an address of 74.125.225.179. Now, so we've gone from an alias here, a C name, to an A record, to an IP address. Now let's go backwards from that, and let's see if we can, what happens when we take the NSLOOKUP function and we give it an IP address. Well, it will return an A record name, an A name. Now, apparently here, what's a little bit odd about it is there are 2 different A names for the same address. This does happen sometimes. It's usually not good practice, but it does happen sometimes when there are third parties involved, so that the corporate entity will be pointing one of their names to an IP address that actually belongs to another service provider. So there's an A record, a Google.com A record that points to this address, but this address actually belongs to another company, and this company also has an A record and a PTR record for this IP address. And we can see here that there's a PTR record, obviously, when we looked at when we did a lookup on the IP address, but we can also see that there is an A record bound to that name, which goes to the same IP address. Now, this So this briefly shows you how to use the DNS lookup function. Basically, if we start with an alias, we will get back a name, and if we look up a name, we will get back an IP address. If we look up an IP address, we will do a PTR lookup, and we will get a name back. So now let's look at the example. Now in the example,